Hey, Crime Writers on Nation, it's Toby. Well, my new podcast is launching next week on September 5th. This time it's not UFOs or the paranormal. It's called Rip Current, and it's about a mostly forgotten month in 1975 when President Gerald Ford was almost assassinated. Twice. And each time it was a woman pulling the trigger. Here is the trailer. If it sounds good, please subscribe to Rip Current on your podcast app and listen to the episodes starting next week. This summer, a lone gunman on a rooftop reminded us that American presidents have long been the targets of assassins. Nearly 50 years ago, President Gerald Ford faced 2 attempts on his life in less than 3 weeks. September 5th, 1975, Sacramento, California. In a crowd outside the Capitol building, a woman pulls a gun on President Ford.
President Gerald R. Ford came stunningly close to being the victim of an assassin today.
A woman dressed in a long red skirt pointed a .45 caliber pistol at the president.
And I saw a woman start to go down and her arm go back, and I saw the gun.
September 22nd, San Francisco. On the steps of the St. Francis Hotel, another woman tries to kill the president.
A woman fired a shot at President Ford in San Francisco this afternoon.
She was right at the front of the row and 40 feet away when he walked out.
The president waved to the crowds and they had cheered him, and that's when it happened.
I yelled, "The bitch has got a gun."
In 250 years of U.S. history, these are the only 2 times we know of that a woman has tried to assassinate a sitting president.
The 2 events were separated by 17 days and less than 90 miles, and the 2 assassins had never met.
One was the protege of infamous cult leader Charles Manson.
She is 26-year-old Lynette Alice Fromme, nicknamed Squeaky.
I always felt like Lynette was kind of his right-hand woman.
Well, what kind of guy was Charlie?
He's a good person. A very good person. He's got a lot of peace.
The other, a middle-aged housewife and aspiring radical, working undercover for the FBI in the violent revolutionary underground.
Identified by police as Sara Jane Moore in her 40s.
Because she didn't look like a radical, she could enter into these areas that other people couldn't. A spy, basically.
I was the person and the intent was exactly as I stated in court, to willfully and knowingly assassinate Gerald R. Ford, the President of the United States.
This season, on the podcast Rip Current, we ask, why these women?
She was a gentle, quiet, I thought, peace-loving girl.
Why did they want to kill President Ford?
Being the appointee of President Nixon, it's understandable to me that in their minds, he should also be the object of their hatred.
And why this time, this place?
One does not have to condone everything in Haight-Ashbury to know that it exists.
Back then, there were lots of communes. There were lots of guru varieties.
Manson told his followers that this would be a bloodbath in the streets of every American city.
What starts as a hippie love cult transmogrified into a violent criminal enterprise.
5 persons, including actress Sharon Tate, were found dead.
We realized that we were dealing with very violent underground groups.
All corporate enemies of the people will be shot on sight at any time and at any place.
The goals were anarchy. Out of anarchy, the revolutionary groups would get their power.
The bloodiest and most massive gun battle in the history of Los Angeles.
Random violence, political violence, there was just no let-up.
Death to the fascist insect that preys upon the life of the people.
These people aren't just a bunch of nuts. They're perfectly willing to die for what they're doing.
Someplace else that would have been like a big deal, but not in California.
The story of one strange and violent summer, this season on Rip Current.
Listen to Rip Current September 5th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.